We Are One by Hope Johnson. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we chose the journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one. We light our chalice this morning with words from J.E. Abernathy Jr. Love is our greatest purpose. We affirm that love is our greatest purpose, accepting one another in the truest form of faithful living. The search for truth is our constant star. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as a beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life.
We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days. Hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. First verse again. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
We were originally going to be talking about welcoming new people to our congregation. But I have to admit that reaching out to new people who come in through our front doors is not where my head is at right now, seeing as how we're not even coming in our own front doors on Sunday mornings. But I still think we have a message of religious, maybe even radical hospitality to share. Going back to the days when Lynn Burton served as our part-time minister, many of us have been concerned about having some form of organized congregational support for members of our group who were in need of a little bit of assistance, whether of a short-term nature or long-term. During the term of ministry of Karen Van Vossen, a caring team was established. It was agreed that we were not in the business of doing what is traditionally seen as pastoral care, talking about whatever we see as our higher power, but would focus on practical things that could be done to help those whose needs we were aware of. A gang of us met, and we talked about what we saw as the needs of some of our fellow congregants. and we each offered to try to be of assistance to one specific person. We also agreed that the information we shared when we met as a group was to be kept confidential, so members of the congregation would not be afraid to ask for whatever help might be needed. I am breaking that rule of confidentiality today with the permission of the woman I'm going to tell you about. That person is Joanne Ashley, a 92-year-old member of the congregation who has not been inside our building for many years, so most of you may never have met her. In fact, as I was preparing my remarks for today, I read a draft of this presentation to Joanne just to make sure I had my facts correct, and so that she could wince if I was saying something she was uncomfortable with. Through our caring team, our former member, Janet Merrill, was assigned to Joanne and continues to stay in touch with her, even though the Merrills moved to Minneapolis in 2015. And Janet is on our Zoom call this morning. When Janet moved, she asked that another member of our team look after Joanne, and I volunteered. Joanne grew up in upstate New York, where her family were members of the UU Church in Syracuse. Upon graduation from high school in 1947, she received a scholarship to the Art Institute in Kansas City, Missouri, where she studied painting, but worried that she'd not be able to earn a living as an artist. So after 2 years, she returned to New York and got a bachelor's degree in fine arts from Syracuse University. After graduation, she got a job at General Electric, doing the diagrams for putting electrical devices together. She said that the engineers would draft the process and Joanne would enlarge the diagram and make it legible. Then she took a class in medical illustration, although she never received a degree in this field. A relative alerted her to an opening at a hospital in Hamilton, Ontario, and she was hired there to do medical illustration. She worked at the hospital for 6 to 7 years, but her health went downhill, and she returned to New York to live with her parents, who were now in their 60s. Joanne said that she recovered her health, but enjoyed just helping her parents. She cleaned house, did the gardening and grocery shopping, and raked leaves and shoveled the walk and long driveway. She's mentioned with fondness how she and her mother used to be responsible for the bouquet of flowers on the church altar on Sunday mornings. Joanne's father died at age 93 and her mother at age 99. Upon her mother's death, the family home needed to be sold, so Joanne had to move out. She did not want to live anywhere near a nuclear power plant, so researched that situation at the public library and learned that one state where there were no nuclear power plants would be North Dakota. And that's how she got to Bismarck when she was about 75 years old. She came to our church as soon as she arrived. She made friends with Thelma Saxby and often drove Thelma to church. Joanne was very quiet and would always sit in the rear on the side of the fellowship hall near the windows. Janet Merrill's friendship with Joanne became very important to her. Other good friends have been Mike and Ann Knutson, as Ann helped plant a small flower garden at the edge of her building's parking lot, and also helped carry out her garbage at one time when Joanne was either ill or injured. While I've been her primary point of contact for the past 7 years, Joanne has continued to age and become more and more frail. Where I used to take her grocery shopping, now Cashwise needed to deliver her groceries. We also got her signed up for Meals on Wheels. Because she sometimes forgot to make monthly payments, her telephone, MDU, and newspaper bills were converted to being directly debited from her bank account. And I've been her point of contact when family members could not reach her by phone. When I saw that Joanne was not totally broke back in about 2018, I got her to an attorney with Legal Services of North Dakota to get an advance directive written and also to get the paperwork done to establish a power of attorney to assist her with financial matters. Then we talked about having a will, and Joanne wrote one naming the church as an entity to receive funds upon her death. When Joanne began falling this fall, I concluded that she was not safe living alone in her own apartment and began the process of trying to find some facility for her to move into. But it's not easy as a friend to get the friend moved into a nursing home. You don't just walk up to the front door and go, knock, knock, can Joanne come live here? That doesn't work. But she took matters into her own hands when she fell for the 4th time in 4 weeks and called the ambulance herself to help get her up off the floor. Instead of just helping her up, that ambulance delivered her to the Sanford emergency room. And after a few hours, Joanne was admitted to the hospital. Thankfully, the hospital social worker took on the responsibility of finding a nursing home placement for Joanne. And she moved into the Baptist home on November 17th. Now I get to perform a task I have done with several others, particularly Carol Jean, that the caring team has assisted with. And that is clean out Joanne's apartment, getting the things she needs at the nursing home to her, and disposing of the rest of her stuff. Our public library is benefiting from the hundreds of books that Joanne has purchased over the years. And several thrift shops are benefiting from shoes, boots, warm coats, and lots of kitchen gadgets that she has purchased. But as much as I've learned about Joanne during these past 7 years, I was blown away when in the process of doing the cleaning, I uncovered her artwork. And when I asked her if I could share some of this artwork with our congregation, she was absolutely tickled that I even thought the artwork was worth it. We're going to share some of that artwork with you now. Angela has the PowerPoint slide. This is the picture of Joanne that several of us threw for her at the time of her 89th birthday back in 2018. As I said, most of you have probably never seen her before. The second photo in the PowerPoint is, whoops, keep back to 2. There we go. The second photo is one of Joanne viewing a photo album that Ann Knutson created for her as a birthday gift. Ann solicited photos from family members in order to create this photo album. Joanne has it with her now in the nursing home. It is something that she has really, really enjoyed looking at. The third slide is actually tiny. It's a newspaper clipping showing a pen and ink drawing that Joanne did in high school. According to the little narrative beneath the picture, Joanne won a statewide art contest with this picture. The fourth slide is a picture of 3 foxes done in pastels. She told me she did this one also when she was still in high school. So you can see this woman had talent. The fifth slide is a photo of a painting Joanne did of her brother George many years ago. When I showed her the picture, she replied that the hand was too big in the picture. So even at age 92, she can still be a bit critical of her own artwork, as she recognizes when the perspective isn't quite right. Slide 6 is a drawing she did of her nephew Chris back in 1971. And slide 7 is a series of little drawings she did of her nephew Thomas in 1984. I love these little pictures because it really shows the movement of a little kid. The 8th slide is a sketch of a man and boy. She never identified specifically who this would have been, but it shows how she could rough in a drawing. Slide 9 is a painting of a woman whom Joanne believes was a professional model, perhaps someone she painted while in college. She doesn't quite remember the details on this one right now. And the 10th one, Joanne doesn't remember the name of this flower, but said that she liked painting it because of the ruffled edges of the plant's leaves. Slide 11 is the only one of Joanne's drawings that has ever been framed. She liked sketching mushrooms. And slide 12, our last slide, is another drawing of mushrooms. Joanne's niece Anne wrote to me recently that she remembers going on hikes through the woods with Aunt Joanne and looking at the pretty but dangerous to eat mushrooms. I've recently found 3 additional drawings of mushrooms in her apartment. All of these drawings and paintings are hanging in Joanne's room at the nursing home. I think they make the room feel more homelike, and they give Joanne something to reminisce about. And they give the staff something to comment on as they work with Joanne and come to appreciate the person that she still is and the talent she used to have. And these drawings are a good reminder to me that when we meet people in their 70s or 80s, we need to remember they were once young, and that even though they've lost some of their former abilities, we need to continue to appreciate the abilities they used to have. Thanks to Angela Harmon for putting together that PowerPoint. She knew how to instruct me to just take a picture of Joanne's artwork with my cell phone, text it to her, and so she could set up that PowerPoint. There are people in this congregation who have skills that I do not have, or knowledge that I don't have. Now, being on the caring committee does not commit anyone to working with an individual for 7 or 8 years. Most of the tasks we undertake are simple ones, like giving rides or preparing a meal. And we welcome any of you to join us in this form of religious hospitality as we move forward into 2022. In conclusion, I would hope that others on the caring team will uncover other interesting bits of information or previously unknown abilities of the folks they work with. It certainly makes life richer for us when we do. Thank you. I guess I could just add one more thing about serving on the caring team. It does not mean that we do everything for somebody. Hopefully it means that we are able to call on others when a specific thing might need to be done. Last week, Cindy Tandy, who was a member of our congregation a number of years ago, was in town spending the weekend with Carol Jean. And Carol Jean said, oh, she has a big vehicle. If there's anything that needs to be hauled to a thrift shop, that could be done. So on Tuesday, Cindy and Carol Jean showed up down at Joanne's apartment. We loaded the back of that little Subaru SUV kind of car with stuff to be taken over to Aid Incorporated in Mandan. And last Friday, Dean became a little concerned about some of the stuff that we knew needed to go to the city dump. And it was like a recliner, which is a little too big for my minivan. So he called around, called Steve Crane. Steve was on vacation in Boston. Called Janelle Cole. She was on vacation. Called Jim Lennington. Jim has sold his car. Called Aaron Carranza, and Aaron said, yep, I can help. Now, several years ago, Aaron also helped move Thelma Saxby's furniture out of the Patterson and into the terrace. So Aaron's come to the rescue of us the second time. Last Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, he pulls up in front of our condo here with his truck pulling a horse trailer. We went down to Joanne's apartment, loaded up 4 things, the recliner, her bed, and a mattress, and like a little end table. And Aaron got it to the dump for us. So again, being on the caring committee doesn't mean you do everything for everybody. It just means you try to coordinate the services that the individual needs to help them along.
Pat, I just love what you did, because so often we wait until a memorial service to tell about a person. And that's one of the things I'm doing at First Universalist is heading teams for the reception after memorial. And I so often think, wow, I wish I'd known that person or more about them. And I did attend Thelma Saxby's memorial service, and I was just blown away. I had known Thelma for years and done things with her, but I didn't know what she was really like. And one of the things I think people need to understand, that people are not just the person they are at the end of their life, as Pat said. And one of the things that Joanne and I had so much fun together, we used to go on road trips. We went down and looked at little churches way down to Hague and Strasbourg and all of those, and went out to the, because I really enjoyed it. And that's another thing, being a sort of care companion or taking somebody on. Some people click and some don't. And I think you have to, try some different things, but all of a sudden there'll be somebody. Joanne and I just enjoyed each other. I still have long conversations with Joanne, but this is so important, I think. And I'm so glad that after you left, that you got this, after I left, you got this caring committee. But thank you, Pat, because I learned things about Joanne that I didn't know after all those years.
Just gonna say how much I appreciate, that's the real reward of community, to have perspective, like where I'm at in this period of life is the busyness and the details and the stress and whatever, and you don't remember unless you're reminded and seeing somebody 70, 80 at that other phase. And so it's like, okay, this whole continuum, it's sort of somehow very, very reassuring.
And you can see why I consider this to be religious and maybe even radical hospitality.
We will now extinguish our chalices with words from Starhawk, then listen to one more beautiful piece of music by Alicia, and then go into our annual meeting. Community means strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of time to time. Community, Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free.
I will come to you in the silence. I will lift you from